Hey
Drew,
guys.
do you know where I'm thinking about going next week?
Atlantic City?
Outer space.
Really?
Yeah, do you know why?
Because it's time for another episode of It's About Time?
I was thinking about testing my watch.
Really?
Really? How do you think it would hold up?
Not as good as some of the other watches we probably have on tonight's episode.
Oh.
Hey guys, and welcome to a spooky episode of It's About Time.
No, it's supposed to be the awkward episode.
The awkward episode. Is that why you have your voice on this night?
Maybe.
Okay. I'm Drew, you know Jared, and we're here on episode 81, and tonight we're actually not going to talk about watches that are on this planet. We're actually going to talk about watches that went... watches that actually went into outer space. But first, before we get into that wonderful topic, Jared, what's on your wrist?
What is on my wrist? The Hamilton Khaki Aviation, discontinued by Hamilton. It's running approximately 4 seconds fast a day, so it's within cost standard. After I've been wearing it now for 2 or 3 months, go check out the episode where I did the unboxing of it.
Nice. I have my... Can't say it.
Gégé Le Court.
Nobody says it better than him.
Gégé Le Court.
Yes, the Gégé Le Court.
Gégé Le Court.
All right.
Gégé Le Court.
Whatever. The Dual-matic, automatic. I've had this now for about 3 months, and again, running within about 3 seconds a day. 3 seconds fast.
Gotta take that to
Sergio.
Sergio.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
Bergio.
sucker right now. They rhyme,
That's why I said it.
and they're both jewelers.
Wow.
Wow. I wonder if they have a stock price. Okay. Anyway,
Should we look at that?
let's get into tonight's episode, which is watches worn in space.
We're not talking about Adam's room.
No. Whoa. Ouch. I
I
didn't
how white
say-
my teeth are, by the way.
Oh, what did you use? Crest whitening strip?
Yeah, no, Crest 3D white.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it like $19.99?
Like 20,
We're way off
$25,
topic.
yeah.
But speaking of way up, okay, let's go back on topic into watches worn in space. We're going to talk about 8 specific watches tonight that were actually worn in space over the past 50 years. What has it been, about 50 years since, what was the first?
Since 1950, late 50s, right?
I'm guessing what, the first one was, yeah, it had to be in the 50s.
Well, Russia was the first to do it.
Right.
And then, you know, the whole Cold War thing, whatever it is, start to compete, and, you know, yeah, so I think it was the... You keep talking, I'll look this up for a second.
Okay, sounds good.
Please.
When you're looking up history, I'll go into actually the first watch that was ever in space, believe it or not, which most people don't know, was by Soviet pilot Yuri Gagarin. Was actually the first man to travel into space. And he did it with a Russian-made 17-jewel manual wind Sturmansky watch. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. Actually, people don't realize that that's the Russian pilot right there. And that, my friend, is the actual watch, the type of watch that went first into space.
So I have some news for you. I was kind of correct.
Uh-huh.
It was like the late 50s when the Soviets first launched.
Right.
First artificial satellites. It was like the late 50s, and then with us in the 60s.
Okay, yeah. So, again, the Soviets were the first ones up there, and they brought a manual wind. Okay, they weren't going to bring an automatic. The automatics back then weren't as trustworthy as they are today, and not nearly as advanced, so they brought a 17-jewel manual wind watch.
Well, 17 joules was the
Standard.
15 to 17 was the acceptable standard back in those days. And again, we've had this on previous episodes. Manual winds are more durable than automatics are. They're not subjected to the same rules of gravity that automatics are.
Right. So that would absolutely make sense on why they would bring that up. And back then, back in the 50s and the early 60s, they just really wanted to tell time. That was the basic thing, to go up there and not lose time. When you do a manual hand...
Well, it was really to go up there and make sure the watch didn't break, because it was subjected
Sure, but you
to...
need something reliable just to keep the time so you knew what time it was. How long you were up there and stuff like that. It was pretty basic.
I mean, I don't know how it was for the Russians, but the U.S. they went through many tests, and to be honest with you, I don't know how the Russians felt about it, but how we did. There were many different companies that competed to be the first watch to go up into space.
Right.
Most of the watches actually failed before they even reached the pressures here on Earth that they simulated. So when they were getting up into space, they actually had no idea if they were going to work or not.
Right. And the one that actually won out, for the Americans at least, when the Americans finally went into space, was, as we all know, the Omega Speedmaster, okay, which is one of the most famous watches, actually, in history.
It actually is the space watch.
That's correct.
For the U.S.
Okay, which is still, yes, he's right.
Personally, not my favorite. It is a manual wind, no date, 39 or 38 millimeter, I believe. They call it the Omega Speedmaster Professional.
And this is the one that Buzz Aldrin was wearing, okay? And basically, its claim to fame was that was the first watch worn on the moon. It was also employed for every manned mission on the Gemini and Apollo missions, as well as trips to Skylab and the Apollo-Soyuz test project. So,
it's as famous of a watch as the Rolex Submariner is dive watches.
Right, right. And those watches today, something similar like that, could be bought, what, 2,000-3,000 in that type of market.
Give or take. Yeah, they're fairly common.
Right, but they were great in terms of, because a lot of these watches, which people don't understand, was they all fail because they can't. I think the limit you have to be in space is 40 Gs, and just you have to go through a variety of temperatures. Obviously, as you're going into space, it gets a lot colder, so it has to go through a variety of temperatures. And coming back down the Earth, it gets a lot hotter. So
yeah, but the other thing that most people have to also remember is this. The watches are also in somewhat of a controlled environment within the shuttle itself. If I mean, yes, did the astronauts leave the shuttle? They did, and they stepped out into the atmosphere of space. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, they spent most of their time inside the shuttle. But the fact that it did withstand the atmosphere in space.
Absolutely. And some watches actually got into space by accident, because some of the pilots and the astronauts had their own watches and they wanted to test them out themselves, which is how Bulova got there, believe it or not. If you look at this watch right here, okay, this is the Bulova 96B 251 Moon chronograph. And you say, how the hell did that get into space?
Yeah, that's the newer one with the ultra high frequency movement. Although it's a copy clone with the new technology of what the Bulova moon was.
Right, and the original one went on the 1971 Apollo 15 mission, and Dave Scott, who was the commander back then, decided, hey, that's my own personal Bulova. I just want it as a backup, and he wore it to the moon, making it the first privately owned watch to be worn on the moon surface. So some brands, and that's a claim to fame for Bulova, just by ass luck, that somebody wanted to bring their private watch up there, and boom, then it gets your name recognition. You don't know how big it is for watch companies to say that they've been to outer space or on the moon, because they can market the hell out of that.
Yeah, it's part of their history.
Absolutely.
Does it really affect the price on the watch?
No, but it does affect their popularity.
They
do get quite a following.
Listen, between Bulova and let's just say Citizen in general, they are known for their technology. Let's just say that. I didn't tell you guys yet, but I picked up another job at a watch store, which you guys know it's something that I'm very passionate about, and those are two of the brands that we sell. And when I'm peddling all the time, I shouldn't even say peddling, but I use it as a sales point, is that between Bulova and Citizen, their technology, compared to most other watches, like let's say, like Hamilton. I mean, Hamilton's great. They have quartz in the automatic, but to have an ultra high frequency movement, and then for Citizen have their Echo Drive, their world timers, atomic satellite waves. Again, it's the technology.
And other companies, such as, and Jared has had this watch as well, this brand is Fortis.
Yeah, I do not recommend buying one of those at all.
What didn't you like about Fortis?
The construction on it was very cheap. The screws stripped very easily. Just not a very... I mean, it was an extremely accurate watch. I will absolutely say that, but the construction of it, very cheap.
It says here, again, known for its accuracy, the B-42 official cosmonaut was the one that was up there for Fortis.
Really accurate.
But yeah, that's what they're known for, the accuracy, and that's their claim to fame. So, I think every watch brand needs something in their history to say we're different than somebody else. And even by going in outer space, to say, well, if all these brands have been up there, what makes them different? Well, they're used for different reasons. As you can see, that the Fortis was used for accuracy, the Omega was used for durability.
Yes and no, I have to say, right? So actually, I'm going to let Drew finish with this list, and then I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about really. And see, to me, there's a reason why watches are slightly overrated a little bit, but I'm going to tell you guys that in a minute.
Okay. Well, as time went on, and I think Jared has heard of this one as well. Okay.
Very popular brand.
Another popular brand. You don't hear much about it from us or really a lot of places. SIN 140A Space Chronograph. Okay, this was used more in the 1980s for the Challenger's final mission. And its main claim to fame was, yes, they'd go into space, but it used argon gas to eliminate humidity. It was the first watch to do that, especially in space. So I guess you had a humidity problem.
Argon gas? Where?
So you had that, and as time went on, you had a couple of other brands that you really don't hear much about unless you're in the space program. These I haven't heard of either up until today, to be totally honest with you. Such as the R01 Space Watch. This is a very popular one these days in the aeronautic industry. The interesting thing about this one that didn't come before the others was the fact that it not only displayed the time for the astronauts, but also communicated total mission time in days and weeks to have that on the watch. So you can take a look at that as well. As watches began to get more advanced, they could do more for the astronauts. And watch companies would say, hey, not only can it tell time, not only can it do this, but it also can do this for you.
Out of all the watches that we've seen so far, this is probably the most unique one, let's just say.
What do you find the most unique about it?
Well, okay. Well, keep going with those ones, and then I'll go into that.
And finally, getting more into modern day watches. But what do they use right now up there in space? Which is a very good question. And one of the most popular ones these days is actually the Halda Space Discovery. And as you can see from this photo over here, they both have it in both digital and analog. So they have the old school and they have the new school. But it's almost like
flip the screen.
Or you just change them. I'm not really sure how that one works. But the good thing about this one it does have an accelerometer, G-force reader, a light sensor, and keeps the astronauts informed for the mission time. So it's kind of like a smartwatch in space, basically. And I'll let you see that again.
Okay, so far these two are the most unique.
Yeah, based on what they can do for you up there, sure. And they're one of the newest. Obviously, you expect the newer watches to be the most unique because, again, technology has advanced over time. So
this brand is from 1887. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's a very old brand, but it's one of the newest ones that, because of the digital revolution, that one has brought into NASA and the space industry. So that's one of the most popular watches you'd never hear about space watches, what they're actually using now. You only hear about the historic ones that went up, like Omega. And like this one as well. This one, the Zenith, which everybody's heard of that type of brand. Any watch connoisseurs heard of the Zenith. This one is the Zenith Stratos Flyback Striking 10th Edition. The interesting thing
they're known for their crazy sick, like 1/100th, 1/1000th of a second chronograph.
Yes.
But it's not. It's unique, But
It can record time down to a tenth of a second, which is pretty remarkable.
yeah, but a lot of watches can do that.
Right, but what they did with this one was they brought it right up to the atmospheric, I guess it was in 24 miles. And then, so it fell 35 miles short of actually being in space. But what they did was, then they dropped it. Okay? They dropped it back down to Earth and did tests with it. And it passed all the tests, which was quite remarkable. But it was quite a watch that, again, if you're going to differentiate yourself, you could say, hey, this is known for this, going into space and dropping it down into the atmosphere, and nothing happened there as well. So Zenith has been around for a long time. Everybody knows Zenith. But they're also known for their space accomplishments as well.
Wow.
Not necessarily going to the moon, more their atmospheric space accomplishments. And I guess that's one of the ones that they claim.
It did kind of go to space.
Kind of, yeah,
Kinda
I guess.
did.
And if you wonder, do astronauts actually wear more than one watch on these missions? They actually do, in this day and age.
When we were talking about the Bulova one, of course.
Yeah, I'm not talking about somebody that's a personal watch that they brought up for claim to fame. I'm talking about, do they actually bring up 2 or 3 watches in case one breaks? They do.
Actually, you know what I'm going to say? I have a feeling, in my opinion, if you brought up more than one watch in space, more of them today and even back then maybe would have surpassed the astronauts' expectations. They just didn't bring them up. That's my opinion.
I happen to agree with that. And well, it's who's passed to go up and who had the correct, who gave the people the right.
Listen, you could have bought a Rolex up there.
Sure.
You could have bought a whole bunch of other brands. They just didn't.
Sure. And other brands that you would normally never think of going to space these days, such as Timex and G-Shock.
G-Shock, not surprised.
No, you can actually see a picture of the astronaut there with them on, and basically they go into space because they want to test some things out. That if one watch breaks, hey, they have 2 others that can do the same thing.
I gotta pose a question now.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking about this question. All these watches we talked about, if you could bring one of them into space with you, which one would it be and why?
That's a good question. What one would I bring to space out of all these?
Out of all of them. And why? Gotta justify it.
I probably actually would go with the Zenith on this one.
Why?
Because I would love to know, because I'm a stickler on accuracy and how accurate watches are in general. For this to be put through so many tests as it was, to be down to the 10th of a second, to me is amazing. For Zenith to get it that accurate going through those conditions, that's unbelievable. So to me,
well, that's not for the watch itself. That was, I think, the chronograph.
Well, whatever the watch was that actually went into space.
But it's designed for that.
Right, exactly. What one would you pick out of all of them?
So hand me the top of this. Sure. This one right here.
Reason being?
There's a lot of reasons.
He's gonna go with the RO1 space watch.
There's a lot of reasons for this one. Okay. First of all, it has fairly easy to reface, which is pretty good. But not only that, it actually has the most technology crammed into it for a mechanical, strictly automatic piece, no digital included. And let's see, it has the day and the date, which none of those have except for maybe the Haldo one. But again, that's digital. If the batteries go down on that, what are you going to do? You're not going to change the battery in space, which you could with the, I'm just saying. And all the accelerometer and then like the G-force, you have the instruments in the shuttle to tell you that. I don't care about that. But the fact that this one would show you like how much time that you've spent in space over a long run with all the other features that all those other watches have. I mean, the 10th of a second chronograph, I don't need that. This one is like, wow. I mean, it's a little large given, but again, it's designed to be worn over a spacesuit. This is really...
He's getting a boner there.
Yeah, out of a unique dial that counts down to singular Earth orbit.
In the pants.
Let me put it this way: this technology is even more impressive, in my opinion, than the Zenith chronograph. That's just my opinion, and I feel like this thing would probably save my life in space, literally.
Nice. Again, guys, that pretty much concludes tonight's episode on watches in space. Hopefully you get an idea.
Omega's overrated. Sorry.
What was that?
Yeah,
He said Omega was overrated.
I think the Speedmaster's so overrated. Oh my god.
No, why do you feel that way?
I don't know. Just like all these reissues, Speedy Tuesday and everything. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, it's a watch. I mean, I think it's great that it was the first one in space, but there's no date on it. What is so like wow about it? It just I don't know. It doesn't blow my mind. Does it blow your mind?
No, to be totally honest with you, the design and stuff like that.
So boring.
I agree with you. It's okay. I think Omega makes 8 other models that are more attractive than
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I get the historical significance of the watch going this. I respect that.
So overrated, though.
But I do have to agree with him. Is it the most wonderful looking watch they've ever designed? No, not even close.
I just think it's overrated. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, does it hold value? Yeah, it does halfway decently, but you know, it's just I don't know.
It's just one of those things. So, guys, again, please. Keep subscribing. We're up to 123.
Oh, we know.
Already, yeah. Already up to
I haven't checked
123.
in a while. I've been a little bit busy lately.
And
Guys, come on down to my store. Check me out.
Absolutely. Where are you working?
Down Bridgewater.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Time after time, we'll give you a good discount. Come in and mention my name, mention the show, especially, and I'll make sure that you get the maximum discount on any watch possible.
You
just
can't
to let
beat
you know.
that.
No.
Absolutely.
And we sell, let's see, Gucci, Raymond Weil, Citizen, Bulova, Luminox, G-Shock, Invicta. We do Fossil. We do Skagen. Any one of those brands. Come on down.
Nixon.
Nixon.
I was there.
Did we do Nixon?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, we do. And then we also do. Can't remember that other brand I sold also. But guys, come on down. Like I said, mention my name. I'll get you a free battery. Yeah, Michelle too. Get you the free battery watch change pressure test. Again, come down, mention my name. I'm there Saturdays and Sundays.
There you go. Can't beat that.
Nope.
So, guys, again, keep subscribing. Please give us your ideas. Keep texting us or sending us messages on future episodes you'd like to see as well. We've got a lot of stuff coming up for you. And the watch show in New York City is coming up in October.
Is that the Watch Time New York City
Yeah,
you're talking about?
the Watch Time New York City. So that is coming up in a couple months. Before you know it, that'll be here. Plus, I'm going to be bringing you into Bermuda and the Caribbean later on this year as well. And guys, thanks again.
Well, I think maybe Tracy and I will bring you into the womb when she gives birth. By the way, yes.
Oh, that's the big announcement we did promise you on this episode, Jared.
I guess, I don't know. So my beautiful wife, lovely wife, I love her to death. We're going to be having a child.
His sperm had a sense of direction. It's fantastic. I can't believe it. You're actually procreating.
I can't believe it.
There's going to be 2 of you.
There's something wrong.
Whew. Oh shit, I need a bigger couch. So anyway, thanks guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time on another episode of It's About Time.